Okay. Before we go to the slide, I want to introduce two things. One is we already discussed some time back, and just to introduce here, the production possibility frontier. So here we can take two types of goods. Maybe I take here consumption good and the capital good. Or you can see here X, here Y. The production possibility frontier is a reflection. All the individual, the producers in the economy, their production is a macro level, basically GDP, and the macro level production. And if you convert into the value quantity, we can take as a GDP. Now here, what I take this one because it's linked to individual producers' behavior. Giving support to individual producers, improve the individual producers, we can improve the GDP and shift the production possibility frontier. Economic growth development mean basically shift this production possibility frontier outward. Now, on the line, any economy produce the production possibility frontier places, we consider the particular economy, all the producers are efficient. All the producers are efficient. So in case of the producer country line inside this production possibility set for area like the sea, which means at least some producers are inefficient, resources used inefficiently. Now, this is the most cases in many countries and especially developing countries. Now here, let's say no inefficiency. With that assumption, producer can suppose the produce on the line production possibility frontier, and the consumer side of the society also consuming their utility for satisfaction. In macro level, we can say the welfare. So this curve called community indifference curve. Community indifference curve reflect the satisfaction of all the people in the society, consumers, and in other words, we can say indirectly a welfare level of the society. Now, given that with or efficiency level, without inefficiency, society can reach W0 and depend on the local prices to goods PX and PY. Now, society or any country better off mean try to reach this welfare level little higher, somewhere bring, let's say, at least some level, let's say W2. Now, problem is like you remember when you discuss the principle number 8, if you remember, the economics or standard living is better off the productivity or have to increase production. Now, to reach this level, really what you have to do, you have to increase two things. Maybe one way, halfway you can reach doing international trade, engage in international trade. The other main way, improve the production and productivity. Now, let's say this is the point D without international trade. Now, country produce from Y one amount from X one amount. Now, when a country engage in international trade, what really happened, this local price ratio change, especially or mainly small countries, but they can't change the world market price. And with the world market price, this is a price ratio will change. This is the blue line, the price ratio, the world market price. Now, with that, when you engage in international trade, you notice that now the price ratio curve touches the different place, like I point out, is let's say E point, which means the country now change the production, reducing production from Y up to Y2, increase production X up to X2. The reason is when we engage in international trade, they get a competitive advantage, the X, then the country produce more. For example, let's say the initially Y produced 100,000, now produce only 40,000. X initially produced, let's say the 200, now produce 250. Now what happened, since the X produce more and the Y produce more, and the international trade prices different from the local prices, consumers or society can engage in trade and reach to kind of higher level of welfare. This is W3. Now you see, from W0 to move W3, nothing else engage in W3, nothing else engage in international trade. Why I use the word nothing else mean country use the same technology, country use the same amount of resources, same amount of efficiency level, only doesn't change the resource allocation from Y to X. Now you look at here, with let's say the initial level of welfare, country get 100, same resources, same technology, now can reach 150. So you can see the magic of international trade. So that we have to use the best policy, because the second best policy correct the market failure. So in that allocation resources, now you see the Y from consume more, X here. So that's the beauty of international trade. Now, here, but I'm not going to discuss that international trade. Now, if the country wants to reach W3, W2, which is greater than even W2, sorry, W3, reach to W2 now, not only, I mean, engage in international trade, not enough. Country needs a strategy to shift production possibility frontier as well. Shift the production possibility frontier as well. So then we have to think of what kind of strategy country can be used to shift the production possibility frontier, for example, like this. So in that way, you may reach to with the international trade, what is the desired level? Desired level. Now, point here, why I took this, because that connect to individual producers. Now, when you look at the individual producers, I'm going to draw another curve. Say the horizontal axis is input. Example, we'll say the labor. Vertical axis output. Now, the short run, when the input increase, output also increase and certain start to decrease. Now, this is the optimal level of production function, or what we call production function. But the reality, if although the producers use certain amount of resources, let's say one amount of resources, need, according to the logical, theoretical production function, the producer should be able to produce point A, let's say amount of 8 units. 8 units according to production function, which means producer has to use the resources and given technology efficiently. And resources used efficiently. But really it is not like that. The producers somewhere produce somewhere point B, which means instead of 80, producer produce 50. The difference here 30 due to inefficiency. This is input-oriented measurement of inefficiency. Here the 30 inefficiency. Now imagine if country has a 1 million producer, this kind of inefficiency create. Definitely, if you look at the production possibility frontier also, country settle down inside the set, not on the line, like somewhere here point B. Now that is the thing. Now what I try to link this macro and micro thing, our policymakers, monetary, fiscal, and sectorial policymakers, if they want to think of economic growth, development, which means shift production possibility frontier, they had to address the issues related to individual producers matters. Here, the basically inefficiency. Now you have to think, create an inefficiency. Definitely all the producers inefficient, little somehow. It create inefficiency, what are the action? How to address those on individual level, how government policies support that, policies or actions. Now here to understand this inefficiency, the microeconomics view, with the support of econometrics, this instead of this production curve, we estimate the production possibility frontier. Production frontier. There capture this inefficiency component and the real production. What you call these two capture stochastic production frontier. Stochastic production frontier. What is the difference between the stochastic production frontier and the production function, which means Q? Q, when you estimate, you can estimate that is the theoretical production, because this is not the real data capture. So given level of resources with the error term. Now what happened, this error term capture, this inefficiency also, when you do the stochastic production frontier, we break this error term into two components. That is coming stochastic error and also inefficiency component, which means epsilon minus U. So this together with the production frontier, we estimate the stochastic production frontier. So there we get two things. One is the factors affect help production, labor and those things. Other component is the stochastic production frontier. If you estimate, you get the factors affect for inefficiency. Inefficiency. These two together you estimate, you can identify inefficiency. And when you identify inefficiency, or you after identify, you can suggest, you can address it. With that you can reach the point A, which is the optimal point. Given technology, you can reach here, point A. But it's not enough. That way, if you again link to the production possibility frontier, you reach from inside some place to on the line like here. But that is not the real development, economic growth. That's what I try to say. So that maybe with the one way technology improvement, we can shift this production function up to Q2. So this movement, the shift due to technology improvement, improve technology. Now, improve technology from A to C, you can read. So that there, the production possibility frontier also shift like it. It's not necessarily parallel. It shift to point C. That really the economic growth and reach to higher level of satisfaction, welfare, utility. So you can see this path, you have to clearly understand some policies, some action we need to address the inefficiency. Some policies, some action we have to address to improve technology. You have to think what are the things. There also you have to understand at the firm level what can do, at the policy level as a macroeconomic policy maker what can do. So that's two things. The exam is matter, you have to address. But at the same time, you have to try to not reach C point. You have to try to reach the point somewhere here, I mark somewhere E point. For example, I may ask in the exam, if you want to reach point B to E, B to A, B to C, or B to E. That's what really you have to talk. There you can see three things you have to do. One is you need the strategies and action to address efficiency. It means, like I said before, you need some policies to improve technology and address that one. And third, you need policies and strategies to improve resources. Because this way, if you move to, for example, A to, let's say, H or C to H, you have to increase resource base. So then you need the policies, the macro level, and the institutional level also action to attract good people, good resources. It's not only the labor, it's not only the human resource, it's the capital as well. When you mention the capital, maybe for indirect investment and the local investment, local capital. When you mention the resources, the labor and human, so you can, country like Australia, using migration policies to take best people from developing countries, especially India, Sri Lanka, and the other countries. so that they do. But Sri Lanka is opposite happen. Our policies promote, go out the country, is not like a purpose in do. It's not a purpose in promote, because our policy discourage to stay here, contribute to the economy. One of the serious policy, our tax policy. So the other enabling business environment also discourage to stay here, contribute to the economy, though we get the best education. So in that way, it's not happening. And firm level, you need some incentives, some support to laborers to attract people to the firm and get improved that way. Now, when you look at the first part, at the inefficiency, action and policies are different from second part. But they are together always, because you can't do isolating, addressing inefficiency and forget just only technology improvement and the resources attraction. All merge. I mean, it's a real world. It's not a lab. We have to do all together, but the carefully give the weight depend on what the serious issue. Now, the first one, if you look at the inefficiency, which means the production, stochastic production frontier, you term, let's say I label as the underperformance. The underperformance create inefficiency or poor performance. Now, think of your work, your organization, the people underperforms mean the inefficiency. Now, from strategic management theory, the underperformance, it depends on three factors or three variables. Three factors. One is the skill. The other one is resources. The other one is the motivation. Now think of yourself right now, your organization. Now, if you don't have up-to-date skillful labors, people and resources, other human resources, you can imagine what happened to your production and productivity. Though years ago, or maybe 1 year ago, sometime back, you recruit the best person using the proper interview channel. But that not happen in the public sector, because the public sector always politicized. They assume that the private sector may happen. But the person we recruit sometime back, the knowledge and skill may be good for that period, but not right now. So right now, things change. Now, world is running with the IT and the online. About 60% of the business on the data, go with the data. So how this happened, how AI work, and with the AI situation, how handle those things. Without up-to-date skill, you definitely get your workers, including management, underperformance. Now, some places, maybe some of you work bank. Think of some senior managers, maybe they don't know even how to handle little thing in the computer, SLC, or even how to use the AI properly. They don't know. So in that, they are definitely inefficient compared to someone is like, say, Chinese banks. So they use the AI heavily and do efficiently. With that skill, definitely you are underperformed. So underperform. So now what you have to do, your firm, inject some solution to improve the skill. Local training, international training, and give to some other maybe strategies. And what the government can do this one. Government can't pick up each and every firms, but the government macro level solution, maybe education policies and other thing, where government has to, or maybe the budgetary. allocation, government has to do something also to improve skills of the people, not just like education grade 1 to 13 or university, beyond that. Now, though you have the enough skill, your workers have to up-to-date skill, if they don't get the enough resources. Now imagine, I'll take an example from university, because I know that. Now people know we train them also. Of course, I have a right to do that. I am human resource director there. And we train them. AI latest things, and we train them. But the thing is, university does not give the resources to our lecturers and people. Even though they don't give a computer, imagine software, latest software. So without latest software, using AI, teaching and research and other activity, we can't do that. Definitely the University of Colombo underperforms in that way. Though we have skill, so we provide skill. Now we conduct, now for example, in the Colombo University, when I talk about AI, we give the AI training all the academic staff, we give the non-academic and some others supporting staff, everybody. But the thing is, when you come to usage, no computers, no AI-related package. Students heavily use AI. We don't know how really they can use the AI, but they stay copy and paste way. We don't have techniques to understand. Techniques mean the software. So this problem. So the underperformance in it. The other universities, they properly use. Now, we teach the Chinese student, when a very difficult things we give within 1 second, put it to the AI, they get the answers and they learn. But our student, we can't do that because our data cost is very high. So they don't use it. That. Now, suppose we have both of them, skills and resources. We need another third one, motivation. Motivation. Now, our system, especially the public sector, private sector also say, rather motivate our workers with demotivate. If someone work, even this happen to management level as well as the co-workers. If someone try to work hard and try to produce something, co-workers and the management maybe get together, try to trouble him, create even the human resource issues and they go to low cost and so trouble and anything. Nowadays problem is the government also try to create issues in the name of corruption. Those who try to work in the public sector, they try to, one way is the increase in tax, the other way is so much regulation, so much issues. Nowadays you can see that those sometime back people or young generation like to join the public sector, now opposite thing happen. So the no motivation. Those who work are motivated to go out to the country, right? Migrate. So in that way, all the ways, what happen, underperformance happen, this kind of solution to this kind of issues, at the skill, at the resource, at the motivation. The firm level individual also, you might have strategies, you might have solution. But the macro level, the policy level, monetary, fiscal, and this level policies also matter. So with that only we can create that. The second part also, the technology improvement also really we need a strategy, expand research and development budget and increase and use some environment to generate new technology rather than just buy from China or India our own technology, or our education system also has to make like generating technology rather than textbook teaching. And the final point is what I mentioned, resources. Attract resources also. When you mention here resources, not only the labor, all the other resources. Now, resources, labor, you can increase. Either you can bring best resources from other countries like migration and maybe our own labor, and also the other resources like capital, indirect investment, and the local investment you can encourage. For that, the government level has to think about proper create external business environment. The third circle here, external business environment, user-friendly for the business movement. In that way, we can improve. Foreign direct investment will come. Local investors will invest more, rather going to India and Singapore, and rather going to shadow economy. So this kind of thing is all connected to the theory of production. That's why I give a introduction. When you after learn the theory of production, you may understand really what I try to say. So I gave this background information and these two concepts. Two concepts mean the production possibility frontier and other side production curve. And there I talk about the inefficiency. I talk about the technology improvement, resources improvement. All those linked to theory of production. If you have any questions or clarification, you can ask. Otherwise, I can move to the lecture again. Okay. Look like now question. Now, if you come back to the notes, I already share with you today in the chat. Here, like I said, the theory of production, we try to understand the supply side rationale. Why suppliers, why producers increase production when the price increase? Why supply curve has a positive slope? Why the law of supply has a positive relationship? So that's what we try to understand. There are the 3 textbook you can follow, though I use some more textbook here. The one is the microeconomics, Walter Nicholson. They are very easy to understand all the ways and descriptive graphs and mathematics. You can read and easy to understand. And the other one, if those who little bit go okay with the mathematics, intermediate microeconomics, Hull variance. If someone is very good in mathematics, he can use advanced microeconomics also, but intermediate enough this level. But the master level, if you go to some other countries, universities, they take the advanced microeconomics, but not the intermediate. And also, I have written a book, Theory of Production, that is also only for this lecture. And you can take from library department if you want. There also you can use as a reference. So these are the 3 books you can use. And the theory of production, if you, as a manager, how the producers increase their production efficiency, like I mentioned before, when take the decision, it help you to understand whether to produce or shut down. If you have a firm, you certain point, you have to decide whether you continue production or maybe sometime you shut down. When you call shutdown, maybe the short run and the long run shutdown. All depend on the what I mentioned before, economic efficiency. I will come back to that efficiency part again, economic efficiency part. And also as a producer, if you know the theory of production, how much output to produce, you can make the decision, knowledge of the theory of production and cost input. What input combination to use? If you take the labor and capital, what combination is the optimal combination? And what type of technology to use? Those you will understand at least with this understanding of the theory of production, including cost, of course. Now here, I use the word continuously efficiency. When I use the word, it has to be economic efficiency. Economic efficiency. Now, economic efficiency has 2 components. One is the allocate efficiency. The other one is the technical efficiency. Technical efficiency. Now, allocative efficiency come from cost side. Technical efficiency come from production side. Now, magic is here. If some producer try to reach the allocation efficiency, it does not mean that he or she can reach the economic efficiency. To reach the economic efficiency has to be both ways. Now, allocative efficiency, that's what I said, is related to the budget, the cost. Use the minimum level. It doesn't mean that the minimum level to reduce quality and thing. And the technical efficiency related to the production side. Input use, that's the maximum capacity. These two together, you get the economic efficiency. Now, as a producer, you don't think like that. You don't think you get the economic efficiency, you try to get the allocative efficiency. What you try to do as a producer, either minimize cost, given output. For example, let's say this week, if you are a manager, you have given a target to produce 100, let's say 100 unit, 100,000 unit, 100,000 unit. That target is given, depend on the future demand forecast. Your firms decide to produce 100,000, that is the required demand. Now, as a producer, as a manager, you try to produce this 100 with the minimum budget. Now, let's say the two producers, Y and X. X also produce, give the target 100. Now, let's say X to produce 100 need $50,000 or $50. For Y need $80. In that case, you can see Y is inefficient. Why inefficient? Why can't earn much profit? So the profit maximization not happen. You can see the profit maximization happen linked to the efficiency, economic efficiency. Or maybe as a producer, you try to maximize output given input. The opposite of it, but at the end reach the same conclusion. That where we tell area of production duality. Now here, target is given cost. Your top management has given a cost target. This week you see, let's say $100. I mean, very simple figure, $100. Now, as a manager, you try to use this $100 and produce maximum amount. It doesn't mean that cut the cost to reduce the quality, cut the cost to reduce the size of the product. For example, bread and bun, you can see when the cost increased and our producers make it small, reduce the inside, let's say the fish bun, and they put maybe just 2 piece soup, not fish and the other thing, tomato, potato, whatever thing. I mean, it's not like that with the same quality, same amount. So otherwise you can't sell in the market. Now these two things happen whether either cost minimization or output maximization, what the market movement. Now, if you as a producer understand the demand and demand forecast, so you know each month or each week you forecast the demand what we need. So they give your management the output target, then the management try to reduce or produce that output to the minimum cost. The word I used, the maximum cost, also happen public sector, because in that way get more commission and the more that way sometime back. Nowadays is not happening because in that way public sector cost is very high compared to private sector also, because the budget is bigger, commission is become bigger. The second one, maximum output happen. There's no idea about market demand forecast, and the producers they assume that whatever they produce to the market, they can sell. So that's what happened. But my point is, this reach the optimal problem, optimal solution. Either you use the minimization or maximization. At the end, you get hit the same target, same point, which means you produce economically efficient amount of production. When you produce economically efficient amount of production and use input and decision, you get the maximum profit. So that's what happens. When you try to maximize profit, in the other word, you get the efficiency, economic efficiency. That's how that link. Now, this is the graph I saw you before. Here, X is input like labor, is output like output. So when you use X amount of resources, let's say 10 resources, efficient producers is produce, let's say 100 units. Inefficient producers less than that happen. Input oriented method. Now look at the same way, you can look at the output oriented way. Also, you can look at instead of now this point, if you look at here, 60, that's what you call output oriented way of looking at the inefficiency. To produce 60, you need labor, only 4 labors. But if you use the 10 labors to produce 60, you are inefficient. You are inefficient. That also you can look at. So you have to use the strategies to reduce the labor and bring the production this point. Now here, like I explained before, improvement of technology, this production curve shift upward. So for that, need different strategies, different policies, different action. Now here, if I summarize, because I start with the production possibility frontier, that is the first one. For the same thing, the macroeconomics you have learned, shift aggregate supply curve. When the aggregate supply curve shift, the production possibility frontier also shift. So that exactly happened. Now, these to happen mean the same thing. What we call as the economic growth, economic development. To do so, we have to do, like I explained before, 3 things. One is we need the policies as action to reduce the inefficiency. Second one, we need the policies and strategies to increase the efficiency, which means the new technology one way and the other thing. Third one, we need the policies and strategies to increase the resource base. So with that, we can shift the production possibility frontier or aggregate supply curve move this way. Altogether, if you put to make a list, these are the things what we can do to improve situation. Technological advance, technology improvement, you can see the undercount. Improve productivity, we have to use the policies and strategies at the macro level as well as the firm level. Education and skills, that also matter. One is the decrease the inefficiency as well as improve efficiency and productivity. Change the government regulation, that really matter, because that make the external business environment. Government regulation always cost to the producers, and that create a part of the transaction cost. So then that kind of change is also very important because in Sri Lanka, especially other countries also, maybe more than 50% of the transaction cost come due to regulation. Though government always now is increasing trend, try to regulate everything that cost to the economy and cost to the country also. Cost to economy mean the producers, or to country I mean the overall, because to maintain the regulation also government has to develop some institution, employ some people, recruit some people. That also cost. Other thing also, the firms level to obey the regulation, and also it involve cost. That's what I call the part of the transaction cost, and the delay in happen, and the invite for the corruption also. This kind of regulation. That's it. The other one, demographic changes and migration policies. These are also really matter. You can, especially the last, improve the resources. The competition policies, the first and second both apply. That is also required. Shift the aggregate supply curve of production possibility prompt. And the prices and risk taking also, that is also really matter, because the enterprises coming out, the risk taking ability, skills, and the that external business environment also help for that. The fact mobility, the other one, and also the economic incentives also matter to do that. For example, like incentives. Now in Sri Lanka, what happened opposite has become disincentives to work and tip the aggregate supply curve. And the institutional and structural changes also really matter. Nowadays, a country like Sri Lanka, we have adapted, colonialized the institutional setup. Now, last year, Nobel Prize also 3 economists got from USA, to study this, how the colonized institutional setup created in countries become bottleneck for development. So that is the real bottleneck. Our decision-making procedures, our regulatory improvement procedures, our AR code and FR, whatever these are, bottleneck become improve the aggregate supply and the production possibility frontier. Still, our most of the policymakers still in this part, more regulation, more centralization, more control by the government. This kind of nowadays is increasing more and more, but that indirectly or directly affect to the economic development. With that, I'll go back to the production function, and I start now short run, long run decision, understand the production function, this point. The production function is a technical relationship between the input and output. So these are X are input, this is output. When we feed the input, output also increase or decrease thing happen. So for the study purpose, in the textbook, I used only 2 inputs, the labor and capital, and so this become the production function. Hereafter, I use, but it doesn't mean that production function has only 2 inputs. All the relevant inputs must be there. That is important. Now, sorry. This table, you can see 2 inputs, labor and capital, with the number of labor, the number of capital 1 to 8, number of labor this side 1 to 8. So different combination, the inside matrix numbers are output. Now, for example, if we use the 1 capital and 1 labor, production is 4. It's like that, all the other combination, you have different production. The other thing also, different combination also one production. For example, 64, you can see here like that. So what we have to do, we have to check, we have to find the best combination if you decide to produce 64. That's the problem. Otherwise, all the numbers here, 37, 42, whatever the number you pick up here, producers produce technically efficient amount of production. Now, these 364s, whatever 64 you pick up, these all the combination are technically efficient. That's the problem. But we have to reach economic efficient point. Technically efficient, not enough. So that is the target, economically efficient. In that way, only one combination we have to select to produce 64, like others also say. So when you take the decision to produce, whether, for example, let's say they use the 3 capital, with the 3 capital change in labor input, you can improve the production. 17, 29, 51, 52, 58, 64, 69, 73, like that. That given capital, what we call short run. The long run, both input chain, we will try to understand what these two differences here. The short run mean the time period, at least you don't get the time to change at least one input. You don't get the time to change at least one input. For example, if you look labor and capital, you can have a time to change the labor, but no time to change the capital. No time to change the capital. The long run mean your time period you have enough to change both inputs or all the inputs. No fixed capital. So that's the different thing. Now this short run and the long run not depend on the time period for every industry. It's not the common formula. Some industries maybe the 1 day or even the 1 hour become long run. Some industries 6 years. For example, IT related, service related right now, some businesses, you use your computer and at your room, within 1, 2, 3 hours, you can change the size and you can improve. Some in firms like that, let's say along the road, you can see the te kada or kola kanda kada. So maybe within 1 day, entire size improve. With the additional taking another pot and put in that one, you can do that. So that maybe 1 day is the long run. But some industries like say aircraft manufacturing, ship, it take to change the capital 5, 6 years. 5, 6 years. That's what we call the long run. Now, another thing important here, the short run, we take the decision based on theory called productivity. Factor productivity. Labor, the factor, the productivity, we looking at the most optimal level of productivity. So, in other words, if you teach someone the short run decision based on theory of factor productivity, that's the theory behind. The long run is about the size of the firm, scale of the firm. That depends on the return to scale. Return to scale. So firm make the decision which size, maintain doing the production is theory of return to scale. Theory of return to scale. There's another word down in the red color I mark here, the economy scale. Now, the return to scale long run theory, looking at the production side. Same concept, same decision, we can look at the cost side also. They are what we call apply the theory economic scale. Ultimately, it's just both side of a coin, same coin, two sides. One side is the production, other side is the cost. If you look at the cost side or production side, one side, coin is the value is the same. Return to scale, looking at the production, one side, the other side, the economic scale. But if you pick up the coin, let's say 50 rupees, the coin is value is the same. So that's why these two link. Now, this is the short situation, factor productivity, and here assuming that the capital fixed right now 4, increase in the labor 1 to 7, this is how the production increase. This is how the production increase. Now, when the production increase, you can say the initially 24, here this table last has number 85. It doesn't mean that producers always go to 85. Producers decide to produce using 4 labor or 5 labor, depending on the factor productivity. So we will see how we take that decision next week, where we produce at least short run 6 to 67. We will look at next week. The long run, the producers move this direction, both input same. No need to same the same rate, but input same. So there also, it doesn't mean that the best production 128 depend on the best optimal production, the long run, return to scale. Whether you keep in the micro level firm, small level, medium level, or large size. So the production in that way depend on return to scale. It can be 75, it can be 190, no depend. So with that, I stop today. This is the law we apply short run, law of diminishing marginal return that are related to productivity. We'll see how using this law of diminishing marginal return, take short run decision by producers. So that we will look at next week. At this point, I'll stop. If you have any questions or clarification, you can ask me. Otherwise, you can leave the meeting also. Any question or any clarification? Okay. It looks like no any questions or clarification.